There are many great wildcard teams in the NFL playoffs this season, but one of the teams that really stick out are the Baltimore Ravens, who finished last season with a 14-2 record, losing in the divisional round to the Tennessee Titans. And this season, halfway through the year, they really did not look like they would make the playoffs, sitting at an 11-5 record, third in the NFC North. But ever since then, something has changed. They've won 5 straight games to end off the season at an 11-5 record, second in the AFC North, mainly powered by their really strong run game with Lamar Jackson and their suffocating defense. So they look to be one of the best wildcard spots coming into the playoffs, and even one of the scariest teams to face in the NFL. And they can maybe even make a run for the Super Bowl. What's up, everybody? It's AC Analysis, and today I'm going to be talking about the Baltimore Ravens and why they are currently one of the biggest threats in the AFC to potentially make a wild card run for the Super Bowl. And we all know what happened to them last season, how they ended the season on a 12-game winning streak, and they seemed to be Super Bowl favorites until they ended up losing in the divisional round to Derrick Henry and the Tennessee Titans. Lamar Jackson took home the MVP trophy that season, but it always stuck with them how they were not able to win playoff games. And then, starting off this season, they went 6-5, and they looked real disappointments from their former 14-2 season. And people were saying that Lamar Jackson was a one-year wonder, and how the team was a fluke and how they were figured out. But then something has changed, as they went on a 5-game winning streak to get second in the AFC North. So, looking at this, they seem to be a really good team who have tons of momentum coming into the playoffs. But before we get started, if you guys enjoy consistent football content like this, liking and subscribing would be really helpful. We're on the road to 100 subs and every sub helps. And the shout out for today's video goes to Raw, who will talk sports. He makes a cool variety of NFL content and you guys should really check him out. And if you guys want a shout out to your channel, make sure to comment down below. We can help all of our channels grow together. And now with that being said, let's get right into the video. The real reason that the Ravens have ended up at a 6-5 record at one point was not mainly because of how bad they were playing and how they were not able to play well as a team, but more of how they were really affected by COVID-19 and a big injury bug. Many main players like Mark Andrews, Matthew Judon, Lamar Jackson, and Willie Snead ended up getting COVID-19 and had to miss games. And these are key components for the team. And then the injury bug has also really hit them. They have many hits on their offensive line to starters, such as Ronnie Stanley, who signed a big contract just a few days before his injury. And Nick Boyle, their blocking tight end, is also out. So because of this, the team had many injury problems. And when Lamar Jackson was actually out with COVID, they were playing a divisional matchup against the Pittsburgh Steelers. And the Steelers barely won that game. The thing is, if Lamar Jackson was in, the team probably would have won the game, and therefore they would have actually won the division, and they would not have to play a difficult team like the Tennessee Titans in the playoffs on Sunday. But these injuries like COVID and everything has really slowed down the team. But coming into the playoffs, the defense is almost 100% healthy, besides Yannick Ngakoue and Jimmy Smith. So their defense is going to stay as strong as it's been recently, while their offense will still be able to play as it's been, because they've not had too many injury problems. I think that we can agree that the main star for the Baltimore Ravens is Lamar Jackson, and this season he has 2,700 passing yards, 26 touchdowns, and 9 interceptions, which is a far cry from his former MVP season, in which he had 400 more passing yards and 10 more touchdowns to 3 less interceptions. But he's still playing like a solid quarterback, and he has good stats for even missing some time and some games. But he is mainly known as a rushing quarterback, and the strength of the team is the running game. And then in the 2020 NFL Draft, with the 55th overall pick, they picked up J.K. Dobbins, who's been a real solid component for the team this season with 800 rushing yards and 9 touchdowns with 18 receptions, really helping Lamar with the read option. And they've had a bunch of injury problems, like I said, for example with Mark Ingram, but since Mark Ingram's injury, many other players such as Gus Edwards have stepped up. While they still have good old reliable Mark Andrews, who didn't miss few games this season, but still ends up with 700 receiving yards and 7 touchdowns, while they still got their deep threat playmaker in Marquise Brown. So their offense has many strong pieces, and because of this, when they're fully healthy, they don't have as much superstar names, but they can really get the ball rolling, and they can score tons of points on teams, as evidence of games that they have played against some real playoff teams. Last season, people would mainly talk about the high-powered offense as the reason for the Ravens being really good, but this season it's a bit different, because the defense is actually one of the biggest roles for the team right now, currently having the 6th best defense in the league, and currently one of the best passing defenses in the league, averaging a quarterback rating of 85. And over the offseason, they made some really big moves to help their defense become as strong as possible. They picked up Calais Campbell from the Jacksonville Jaguars for a 5th-round pick. They got Derek Wolfe, and then they also got Yannick Ngakoue from the Vikings. So they had a really strong defensive line, but then the main strength of their defense is actually their secondary, with players like Parnell McPhee and mainly Marlon Humphrey and Marcus Peters. Humphrey is currently suffering a knee injury, but he's still one of the best cornerbacks in the league, along with Marcus Peters. And Peters is the main one this season with 4 interceptions and 40 tackles, making the Pro Bowl for the 2nd year in a row, revitalizing his career with the Baltimore Ravens. So with a defense this strong and a defensive line this strong, they seem like the best contenders to be able to stop Derrick Henry and the Tennessee Titans. Since the Baltimore Ravens got the top wildcard spot in the AFC, they are forced to play against the number 4 seed Tennessee Titans, who are currently sitting at an 11-5 record. And this is going to be a rematch of their last year's divisional round playoff game, in which the Tennessee Titans came in underdogs, but ended up winning 27-12 against Lamar Jackson and the Ravens, mainly led by Derrick Henry, rushing for 150 yards and multiple touchdowns of his own. So if the Ravens want to win, they need to shut down Derrick Henry, and if there's any time to do it, it's now, because they have the strongest defensive line in recent memory for the team, with Calais Campbell, Matthew Judon, Derek Wolfe, and a blitzing cornerback in Marlon Humphrey. So they can stop Derrick Henry, and then they stop the 2 wide receivers on the outside in A.J. Brown and Corey Davis with players such as Marcus Peters. Then it will give free roam for the offensive side of the ball and Lamar Jackson to be able to do their thing. And currently the Tennessee Titans have a bottom 20 defense in the NFL. They're not playing that well, so Lamar Jackson can absolutely destroy that defense with Marquise Brown and J.K. Dobbins. So the real key to this game is, as every other team's game against the Tennessee Titans, stop Derrick Henry and don't let him wear you out. And you see, if the Baltimore Ravens beat the Tennessee Titans, that means they have to either face, in the divisional round, the Pittsburgh Steelers or the Cleveland Browns. And looking at momentum right now, it looks like that the Ravens can beat both of those teams. And that is because the Pittsburgh Steelers started off the season 11-0, but have ended off 12-4. So they're not really hot right now, they're not playing that well. As for the Cleveland Browns, they just beat the Pittsburgh Steelers in Week 17, and the Pittsburgh Steelers were playing all of their backups, meaning that the Browns aren't even playing that well right now. So the Ravens have a pretty good shot at the AFC Championship game if they can beat the Tennessee Titans. And if they go to the AFC Championship game, both of those teams aren't playing too well, but all you have to do is stop their offense. And if you're playing the Pittsburgh Steelers, make sure that your offense can get through the Pittsburgh Steelers defense with TJ Watt and Cameron Hayward and those deadly blitzers. The AFC Championship game, if the Ravens make it, is either going to be against the Kansas City Chiefs or the Buffalo Bills, who are currently probably the 2 strongest teams in the NFL right now, besides the NFC's Green Bay Packers. And currently the Bills seem to be the hotter team. They ended off the season with a 6-game win streak, but no matter who they play, the Ravens will have a really tough matchup to beat these 2 teams. And if Lamar Jackson can even make the AFC Championship game, the Baltimore Ravens will prove that they are a playoff team. But of course, we don't know how the playoffs are going to go. We just have to wait till Sunday to see how the AFC plays out. With that being said, that'll wrap up this video. This has been AC Analysis talking about the Baltimore Ravens' chances to reach the Super Bowl and how they are a real contender in the playoffs. And if you guys enjoy playoff videos like these, liking and subscribing would be really helpful. We're on the road to 100 subs and every sub helps. And if you guys want a shout out, make sure to comment down below and we can help all of our channels grow together. And now let's wait for playoff time. Thank you guys for watching. See you next time.